It is Monday, October 23rd, 2023. This is another playoff edition of Baseball Today, presented to you by SeatGeek. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan along for the ride as well. And a quick reminder, go download the SeatGeek app today if you haven't already done it on your phone. Why? Because they want to save you 10% off your next purchase. All you have to do is use the code JOHNBOY postseason, all caps, all one word. You're going to get 10% off, whether you are a newbie in the SeatGeek world or a returning customer. Use it on your baseball playoffs, the NFL, college football, upcoming NBA, which starts this week, NHL. If you're a concert goer, save your 10% right now. All right, Plouffe. Boy, oh boy. I guess a few things have happened since the last time we saw each other, huh?
A few.
Yeah. I want to tell you this. So Sunday, everybody knows that I do NFL Network. Last night, we're watching Eagles, Dolphins on one side of the big screen and watching Game 6 of the ALCS on the other. And my partner on the show, Maurice Jones-Drew, not much of a baseball fan, he keeps asking me, why are these pitchers getting so excited when 7 out of 10 times the hitter gets out anyway? Like, just go to walk to the duck. And I'm trying to explain to him. No, I'm trying to explain to him.
He's right.
No, this is the time of year where guys can show a little bit of emotion. This isn't July. I was like, imagine this is the AFC Championship and a quarterback just completed a pass and he got fired up because they complete 65% of their passes. Are they not allowed to get excited?
I'm talking baseball here and these pitchers, bro. You win all the time. Just relax.
Oh, okay. Well,
nah, I'm just kidding.
Not all the Astros pitchers, particularly the relievers, were winning last night because the guy who was in the middle of a fracas in Game 5, he was getting dominated in Game 6 until he finally reserved a spot at the table in Game 7.
Stanix 1-1 is drilled on a line, left field and gone! Adolis Garcia makes his statement, and the Rangers have their sights set on Game 7.
They just don't let the adversity get to them. We've had injuries, tough streaks, and they keep getting up. And that's what it's about in this game. You got to bounce back. You got to be resilient.
Dan, can you go back when the ball goes into the stands? It looks like there's just one Texas Rangers fan in a sea of Houston fans in the Crawford boxes, and he's going nuts. I got to see this guy.
Oh, yeah, there he is.
I mean, he must have been getting crap all game long. I think maybe his buddy's next to him. Oh, Biggio. No, that's a Houston
Astro
fan.
Yeah. Is that
good for
I didn't
him.
know maybe Brandon Marsh on the day off flew down to Houston. That beard.
By the way, bro, like that's a dangerous place to be.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. Okay, so here we are. We got a Game 7. How surprised are you that we got here?
Honestly, not that surprised. I mean, these teams have been pretty evenly matched. I think they kind of, if one team has a deficiency in one area, the other team is good in that area, and back and forth and back and forth. I really feel like this is a very evenly matched series. And I said this on Talking Baseball. We're seeing like a budding rivalry start. Like, and it hasn't been that. It really hasn't. And, you might say that the cities have some sort of rivalry. I don't live in Dallas or Houston, but I'm assuming it's similar to like a San Fran, LA, or even a San Diego, LA, something like that, where they're like, there's a little bit of rivalry. But these two teams are going to be good for their foreseeable future because the Astros are just good all the time. And the Rangers have paid guys to stay there for a long time. And they look like they want to be in this contention window for quite some time. So we're getting the drama, the fights, like everything is happening. We're seeing a rivalry start right now, and there's nothing better for a rivalry than Game 7. This is the best.
I'm super excited. I just, as I tell you, I don't care who wins. I just wanted more baseball, and fortunately, that's what we're going to get later on today. I thought that the Rangers had to win Game 4. Remember, I made the statement that I felt like the Rangers had to win Game 4 at home in order to have a chance, and then they didn't. And then they lost Game 5 in the most gut-wrenching way ever. And I was like, God, how are they going to survive? And then Eovaldi gave up a run in the first inning. And I think that was the key, was that he shut it down after that because he still had 2 guys on and only 1 guy out. And if he even gives up just 1 more, crooked numbers. How often have we talked about it, particularly in
Yeah.
the first inning? And you get that home team feeling good about itself. I think, to be honest with you, the Houston fans were a little disappointed they weren't able to pile on. They were like, man, we had a chance to really kind of slam the door here. Nope, it didn't happen. And all of a sudden, Garver hits a home run barely.
First pitch. Yeah.
And, now we're back and we're tied. And God almighty, there was just so many little things that were interesting. Like, I know Astro fans are pissed at Dusty Baker for sending up John Singleton with the bases loaded. Huh?
Why are Astros fans pissed about that? Because of the end result?
No, because of the guys that he had on the bench that he could have used.
McCormick and Diaz?
Yeah. Two real power guys instead of a guy who's hitting well below 200, who walks a lot, who got a critical walk the other day in the series. But
he wanted someone to get on base for Altuve, and this guy just did that and put up a really good at bat. By the way, the first time he faced Leclerc to get the walk, and even this time when he got the strikeout, Leclerc threw a nasty backup slider at the top of the zone. That's a tough pitch for a hitter. I mean, how many pitches was this? About 7? 8 pitches? 8 pitches.
Yeah, it was.
I am not mad at that move. I'm not mad at that move whatsoever. You're getting the right-left matchup. He just proved that he could put up a good at bat against Leclerc. It's kind of, and Jimmy pointed this out on Talking Baseball, that's like scary for Leclerc because this is the exact same sequence that happened in Game 5. You walk Singleton and you give up a homer to Altuve. I mean, I have no problem with this, and it was a good at bat. The end result wasn't what you wanted, but don't sit here and question, oh, we should have sent this guy, should have sent that guy. No way, man.
And I also didn't have a problem with the relievers he ended up going to. With Montero. Montero's been actually very good in the playoffs. And then he brought in Stanek. I mean, could he have gone a different direction? Could he have brought in his closer to keep it at 4-2 and have a chance and force the Rangers to use Leclerc again in the ninth? Absolutely. He didn't. And now this is where we are for Game 7. And so we've got Javier and Scherzer in a repeat of Game 3. It was Scherzer's first start in over a month. And we know what Javier has done in his postseason run. He wasn't at his best in Game 3, but he was certainly good enough to win. And so what are you most looking forward to tonight?
So I'm just looking at some stats right now. What am I most looking forward to tonight? I want to see what Scherzer we see. I know the leash will be short, but at the same time, I think both these managers have shown that, if the guy is looking good, feeling good, that, we're going to try to steal some outs. I put steal some outs in quotations because this is Max Scherzer we're talking about. I hope he shows up, and I honestly could see him throwing 4. I said this the last time he was out. It did not happen, but I could see magic happening and him going deeper into this game than people expect. So I'm excited just to see, I guess, how far Scherzer can go, and then how Bochy is going to manage this game. Are we going to see Jordan Montgomery come in to face Yordan Alvarez in a big spot? I think the chances of that are very, very high. So there's all these little things. It's Game 7. Everything matters. It's win or go home for both teams. So we're going to see some funky stuff happening, and there's no more pressure-packed situation than this, unless it's Game 7 of the World Series. This is everything. So you're going to see some players shine in this environment. You're going to see some players maybe fold under the bright lights. And I think, to me, that's just as a person watching the game, I love to see how guys handle this situation, because you really don't get to be in these situations very often. Now, the Astros have been in some pressure-packed situations for quite some time, but I just think that I want to see how these guys react to the bright lights, the brightest.
It's not just the players, dude. It's the managers as well.
Yeah.
And so it's the only time of year where you really get criticized as a manager strategically, right? You can always hide behind, well, I needed to stay away from this reliever. It's the middle of July. We're in the middle of playing 20 games in 21 days. You can always use that stuff during the regular season. You can't do it in the postseason. Everybody is available except the 2 starters that pitched last night. Everybody else is going to be out there. how many starting pitchers are we going to see that, it might not just be Montgomery. Is 40-year-old Justin Verlander available for a hitter or two?
I also think he's down. I think he's down. They have enough pitching that I don't think they need him.
Right, in part because they've got Urquidy that can give you some length.
And Hunter Brown. Like, they have those guys.
You're right. But how cool would it be? How cool would it be to see Justin Verlander come in a big situation, like nursing a 1-run lead in the 7th?
No, this is what's going to happen. JV is going to put his spikes on, and he's going to run to the bullpen between innings and get a massive ovation, and he's going to sit out there for the rest of the game.
Yeah, that's probably what'll happen. That is. But I think that managers get a bit squirrely too. They really do, because they have to sit there, and your guy can be cruising through 2 innings, and then the first 2 guys get on in the 3rd. Well, then what do? You got to make it through 6+ innings still. 7 innings. So do you let a guy try and wiggle out of a jam? Because there is no tomorrow. So there is going to be constant pressure on 2 future Hall of Fame managers to push all the right buttons. And historically, one of them has. Bochy has never lost a do-or-die game, and one of them hasn't. Dusty Baker has never won one of those.
I love it. The storylines are just so good right now. I'm telling you, this has turned into an unbelievable series. And I want to go back and touch on the Yanier Diaz thing. And I figured, hey, you get a platoon matchups. You get Singleton right left against Leclerc, and then you end up getting Yanier Diaz against Heaney. You get the lefty righty matchup there. But as I'm looking at Yanier Diaz's splits, he's got reverse splits and really shocking. A 931 OPS against right-handers and a 620 against left-handers. So now I'm questioning the decision a little bit more. I still think the reasoning is what I said it was. You just saw this guy walk a good at bat against Leclerc. And I still think he made the right decision, but that made me question it a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. We have to get to this. Bryan Abreu has filed his appeal. It's going to be heard. We're hearing a ton of reports out there. It's going to be heard at some point today, and MLB is expected to render its decision before Game 7. Are you okay with the way this whole thing played out or no?
No, not at all. There's no way he should be suspended. He shouldn't even been thrown out of the game, in my opinion. I don't think it was intentional. I don't think it was intentional whatsoever. I don't. And people are trying to make me believe. Jake's trying to make me believe that the Astros had some evil plan to hit him and to ice Leclerc. No way. Not with one runner on first, nobody out in that kind of game. You just don't do that. That's just silly. So I don't think he should have been thrown out. I know that when you get thrown out for intent, that this just happens. I think that's what the rule is. I would be shocked if they kept the suspension. Unless they know something that we don't know, I'd be shocked if they kept the suspension. And if they do,
you think it's going from 2 to 0?
I hope so. I think it'd be absolutely ridiculous to not have this guy available for Game 7. He's their reliever. You got Presley back there, but he's been their best reliever.
Okay, but hold on. Does it matter? Are you saying that they'll make it from 2 to 0 because they go back and they say, all right, it was really hard for us to judge intent? Or are they going to take it from 2 to 0 because this is Game 7?
I think it's hard to judge intent. He got thrown out for intent, but I think if they got together and they hear, they have an actual meeting about it, I think you can say there's no way. Look at the circumstance, dude. Look at the situation. And again, if they uphold it or they just take it down to 1 and he misses Game 7, I think it's a mistake. And I think it's bullshit.
So all 6 umpires got together, according to Mike Hill, who's the president of baseball ops for on-field issues like this. He came up and said, all 6 umpires agreed that there was intent.
Got it wrong.
Our history, they got it wrong.
Yes.
Do you think that the league has to intervene in that case and say, we get it, the umpires are there, but we're all watching the same game? So, are they just too afraid to usurp the umpire's power?
If that's the reason they don't overturn it because they don't want to offend the umpires, then I'm done. I'm done with that relationship if that's the reason. I can't have that. Umpires should not be determining what's going on to this magnitude.
Okay. If you're in the conspiracy theory boat, a lot of this has been floating around Houston as well. What was Chris Young's previous job? He, of course, is now the GM of the Texas Rangers. What was his previous job?
like on-field play for MLB or something.
He was the guy dishing out the punishments in the league office. That was his job before becoming the architect of the Texas Rangers. Do you think that there's any funny business going on there?
I sure hope not. I think I have
We all
some
hope
respect
not.
for Chris Young, and I don't think he would do that. But I'm not going there. I'm not going there. I think they need to take this suspension away completely.
Okay. You know me. I'm not a fan of the league office. I don't like the way they handle a lot of stuff. Even I would have a hard time believing that they're like, hey, let's take care of our buddy Chris. Excuse me. I know that there's a ton of Astros fans who think that the league hates them. They think the world hates them. I am here to tell you right now, as a guy who's worked in television for 30 years, the executives at Fox would way more like to see you guys in the final, in the World Series, than the Texas Rangers. I'm just telling you. Why? Because people do hate you. They want somebody. Why do you think A-Rod's on their network? Why do you think that? This is why. Because there's a small fraction of people that do like you, mostly in Houston, Texas, and that's cool. And there's also a big part of the baseball world who's like, oh, them cheating motherfuckers. I hope they lose. The Texas Rangers, they're like, go. Who's on their team? When you're talking about trying to get the average sports fan involved in the World Series, they might go, oh, yeah, I don't like the Astros. I'm going to watch them lose. They're not going to go, oh, I can't wait to watch Robbie Grossman hit third tonight. That's not what they're doing. So they're not
Carver
against
now,
you.
Bro.
Yeah, I know. But, he did hit third the other night. Just want to let you know. So let's get past that. Number 2. Bryan Abreu got screwed. He got screwed. Now, if the easiest thing to do in Game 5 was to throw him out and throw out Garcia and throw out Dusty, even though I don't think he's left the dugout yet, I guess I can live with that. That's the easiest way to get control of the game, whatever. Fine. I was shocked when the suspension came down. So I had to text some guys who play Major League Baseball. I was like, do you guys think that he hit him intentionally? I got a split vote, dude. I got a split
I'd love to
vote.
know. I'd love to know the guy that said yes.
I'm telling you.
Tell me after. I can't wait.
So I don't know how to feel. I was like, okay, these guys have been on the field. I've asked position players. I've asked pitchers. And I got a split vote. So I can just report to you that I got a split vote. I don't think he hit him intentionally. But I will add this. That if something happens on the field of play and there's punishment doled out, it must be served in the playoffs. It has to be. There's no way around it. I know that Bart Giamatti, the then commissioner, the late commissioner in 1988, Jay Howell of the Dodgers, ends up having a foreign substance on his mitt. He suspended him 3 games in the NLCS, games 4, 5, and 6, because he said, if this thing goes 7, I don't want the mistake of one man perhaps costing an entire team. He actually came out and said that. Baseball here is like, well, fuck it. It's going to be 2 games. This might be game 7. You're going to sit your ass down. So he shouldn't serve it next regular season. He's got to serve it now. So if they uphold the suspension, he's going to miss the biggest game of the year. And he is their second most important reliever behind Ryan Presley.
I'll be upset if it upholds. If it gets, pared down to 1 game. Like, it's silly. I can't wait for you to tell me who said yes. I can't wait.
Well, you just have to sit around and wait and see, won't you?
You're going to tell me.
Hey, by the way, do you think, and I want to ask this real quick, do you think that Altuve, Alvarez, or Seager will have a chance to deliver the game winner with the game on the line late?
Of course. Yes, that's how this series has gone. And I think we might see the Montgomery-Alvarez matchup. That's what I think we might see. And Altuve will be looming, yes. At some point, there's that bad man. He's in the 3-hole. A couple of runners need to get on to get this guy in the batter's box, and it's going to happen. Like, we're going to see Jose Altuve have a chance to either put them ahead or do something big in this game. 100%. How about Kyle Tucker laying down a bunt last night, trying to?
Yeah, it's been rough. It has been rough. I was going to ask you something else, and now I forgot. That's all right. You want to move on to the NLCS? Could
Sure.
wrap up today, this afternoon in Philly. D-backs made it 2-2 in the desert with a couple of gutsy wins before those lumbering bats of the Phillies showed up once again in Game 5.
Harper, another drive. How far will it fly? Schwarber and Harper do it again. 4-0 Phillies.
That was a big game for us. Coming in here and being able to get one is huge. It's a really good team over there, and we took advantage of, everything we could today. And, the last two before that, want to flush that as quick as possible and get in here to this third game and win that going home.
That, of course, the many sounds of Bryce Harper, who did it all there in Game 5. All right, so Game 6, it's a rematch of Game 2. It's Merrill Kelly for Arizona. It's Aaron Nola for the Philadelphia Phillies. Finish this statement. You'll know Arizona is in this game if
Merrill Kelly gets through the first inning unscathed. I think that's the biggest tell. I mean, if he can go through and put a 0 up in the first inning, settle everything down, I think that'll calm all the Diamondbacks fans down and the players too. I think giving up those early runs really has been tough for the Snakes. And for anybody in the playoffs, to be honest with you. But I think if he gets through the first inning, gets Schwarber out, gets Harper out, I think he can settle in.
I had the same thing written on my paper. It's
All
like
right.
We were cheating off of each other. In fact, I will let the manager of the Philadelphia Phillies, your old buddy Rob Thompson, explain what that atmosphere is like for a visiting team.
As loud as I've ever heard it in a stadium. And it's not just how loud it is, but how long it goes. It goes from first pitch to the last pitch, and they're standing up the entire game. It's just an incredible atmosphere.
And you know what? Torey Lovullo and the Arizona Diamondbacks know that too. They know it. Why? Because Gallen gave up 2 bombs in the first inning of Game 1, and Kelly did. He gave up a solo shot in the first inning of Game 2. You can't be going to the dugout at the top of the second, look at that scoreboard. They'll take 0-0 in a second. If you said, would you sign up for not doing anything in the first as long as they didn't do anything in the first? They would be like, yes, absolutely, I'm in. Yeah. They've got to get through the first 3 innings where maybe they can take a little bit of air out of that stadium. Don't you agree?
Yeah, take a little air out. Just keep the game close. I mean, this is their MO is, they're able to come back in games. As long as they keep it close, I think they feel like they're in the game. You just we can't see like a 3-0 after the third or something like that for the Phillies. Like they have to either score first or hold them to zeros. Yes.
Now there is one area of concern for the Phillies and their fans, and it's when Craig Kimbrell comes into the game, right? We know what happened in the end of Game 4. Arizona came back against him. The big Alec Thomas homer. He looks, I don't know if you remember 2018, but when he started walking the world for the Red Sox, and it wasn't him getting the last out of the 2018 World Series, right? It was Chris Sale that was on the mound. It was not Craig Kimbrell. Can they use Kimbrell in a high leverage situation?
I think they can. I think you have to stick to him in the ninth. Like that's what he's used to doing. I don't think he doesn't look comfortable coming in any other part of the game. He's not a guy that you want to put a fire out in the 7th with or something like that. And I think that's okay. And sometimes you have to realize that like this guy is a closer. He needs to be in closer situations. I feel like there are certain guys throughout the league that do that. I think you can still rely on him. And I think Topper will. I mean, do you think the only thing I can see happening is like a Ranger Suarez going the last like 3 innings or something like that, right? Like if something like that happens, then we maybe won't see Kimbrell. I don't think we see like Alvarado throwing 2 innings to shut the game down. I don't see that happening. So I still think he gets used. If it's a safe situation tonight, I think Kimbrell's out there.
So you think 4-3 Philly, top of 9, that door swings open. You think it's Craig Kimbrell walking through the door?
With people up, yeah. With like people up right away.
The Ranger Suarez card is so interesting to me, right? Because if you use him and God forbid something happens and Arizona comes back and wins the game, who's pitching Game 7?
I don't think they care about that.
Really?
Well,
I mean,
they have people. They have people. They have people. You got Sanchez, and you got Walker, and you got Lorenzen. I know that's not exactly what you want. You'd rather have Ranger Suarez out there at this point of the year. But if you're going for the jugular and you think you got a lane for the Ranger to go,
that's why it's so unnerving. It's so interesting about Kimbrel. I don't know if you can touch him right now. I know that Thompson came out and said, I think he needs a little bit of a break. When a manager comes out and says that publicly, that ain't good.
Yeah.
It's not good. So I know Alvarado, I don't think he pitched in Game 5. Obviously, he had a travel day to recover as well. But he's a highly emotional guy. You're going to ask him to go more than one inning? Like, that feels like it could be disastrous. Is there anybody else you would feel good about? I love the Ranger Suarez idea. Is there anybody else you'd feel great about, right? Kirkering has had his ups and downs. He's a kid that's been up in the major leagues less than a month, so I get it. Hoffman, okay, interesting situation. He had to come in really early in the game the last time we saw him and did a nice job. But he also has given up. He gave up the big shot to Austin Riley in the Braves series. Like, where do you feel comfortable if you're the Phillies? I know what the Diamondbacks are trying to do. I don't know what the Phillies are doing at the back end.
It just kind of depends on the situation. I could see like a Matt Strahm kind of like, towing it from the first base side, that funky lefty stuff coming in like this in the postseason. You kind of have to see who's hot in the lanes. I did just go back and look at Thompson's quotes about Kimbrel, and he said 6th, 7th inning he might get used. I think that's a mistake.
Interesting.
I think if you either don't pitch him or you put him in the 9th, I don't think he's comfortable doing anything else. So, like, if you don't want to use him, okay. But I don't think you bring this guy in early. I just don't.
Yes or no? Does Craig Kimbrel throw a pitch tonight?
I would say yes. I would, but I mean, kind of, I guess I missed that. I saw that he said he's going to take a little bit of a break, but I didn't see like, hey, we're going to use him low leverage 6th or 7th inning. I think that's a mistake.
Well, I didn't say that.
No, Thompson said that.
Okay.
What does a break mean at this time of year? Quote, 6th inning, 7th inning. His stuff is good. It's just his ability to power the ball through the zone.
I don't think he does. I think they're going to try and win tonight, figure something out over the next few days before the World Series gets going on Friday.
It all depends what the score is, okay? We're talking like the Phillies are going to be up for sure, and say we don't know that. If it's a 4-run lead and you got 2 innings to cover, it wouldn't surprise me if Ranger Suarez came and threw out the last 2 innings.
That would be phenomenal. I think that'd be fun. Can't wait. All right, let's do this one quickly. Giants have received permission to talk to Bob Melvin about their managerial vacancy. Of course, he spent the last 2 years out in San Diego. Are you surprised that the Padres would just let Melvin go to a division rival?
No, because it sounds like Preller and him have some sort of stained relationship, beef. Yeah. So I think Bomo was like demanded it, probably. I'd assume. I saw they said he's the leading candidate for it.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be the Giants manager.
Not only leading candidate, you're not going to let a guy like Bob Melvin interview for the job unless Melvin's like, dude, give me the job. Like,
get me out of here.
Right.
But dude, I mean, you're leaving. I know they didn't perform well this year, but you're leaving a pretty dang good squad down in San Diego for what I would say is decidedly a worse roster in San Francisco. But Bo Mel is used to managing bad rosters that overperform, right?
Well, do you think that some Padres fans have a little bit of PTSD, right? Who else did the Padres let go up to San Francisco with time left on his contract to go manage a team?
Bochy.
They let him go. He had a year left on his deal. They were like, okay, go ahead. I know, different situation, different times. But all Bochy did was become a Hall of Fame manager up in San Francisco by winning 3 rings in 5 seasons. You don't think for just a little bit, even if when you look at the roster construction, you're like, oh, our roster's way better than the Giants. There's just a little bit of that thought creeping in.
For Melvin?
For the Padres fans, where they're like, man, we're going to let a pretty good manager go and go up north, and we have to see him 13 times a year, and could be interesting.
It would be interesting. I think it's good for Bo Mel. He's a Bay Area guy, I feel like,
Yes. Yeah, he is. And he also played up there for part of his 10-year career. So good for him. I can't wait to find out the real story of what happened behind the scenes there in San Diego, which I'm sure we'll get in about 2.5 decades. All right, finally,
unbelievable.
Pat yourself on the back all the time.
My conspiracy theory is this right here.
What? Wait, what's a conspiracy theory?
We just talked about Michael Phelps, and you're like, yeah, it'd be great for him to give a pump-up speech. And then here he is.
He threw out the first pitch the other day in Arizona. Well, now,
Are you best friends? Are you best friends with Michael Phelps? Do you guys swim together on the weekends?
He does look a lot like my oldest nephew, Stephen Kwolek.
See, I love this freaky stuff right here. Give me all the freak stuff. I love it.
That's his Olympic warm-up.
I know.
I mean, how amazing was that? Look at Seawald. Look at how happy he is. Although it looked like Seawald had never caught a baseball before. He's like back there trying to track the thing. I have to get on him about that.
Threw it like a shot put. It wasn't a great first pitch. It was a strike, I guess.
Yeah. It looked like a position player just trying to get out of an inning in an 11-2 game.
And they missed a golden opportunity. He should have thrown the first pitch, ran straight to the pool, and got in it. Come on, you have a pool and Michael Phelps there.
You're right. 1,000% on that. He should have pulled a pair of goggles out of his back pocket. He should have been wearing like the NBA warm-up pants where you just rip them off with the buttons on the side, and he's wearing a Speedo. Or he's wearing the one, now he wears the ones where it goes all the way down, the half body suit. And he should have just swam right into that would have been great.
Amazing. Gosh, someone needs to hire me.
Yep. Where were you? Where are you?
My third job.
You could be a marketing intern for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Would have worked out great. All right. What do we got? Do we have a full World Series after tonight or just half a World Series? What's it looking like?
I think we have a full World Series.
Okay, so Phillies.
I think it's going to be a team from Texas.
What's the matter with you? Are you worried about hurting fan bases' feelings?
No,
Are you worried that they're going to come get you?
I honestly have no idea who's going to win the Astros-Rangers game. I have no lean. Sometimes I have leans and you feel a certain way. I feel like if I had to choose, I think that the Astros are probably favorited in this game, I'd assume. Yep. Even though they've been horrible at home, they haven't hit at home at all. I think they're hitting 177 in the 3 games that they've played at home in the CS. I just think the pitching favors them tonight, big time. So really, it's going to be, can the Rangers put up a 9 spot again? Can they get the big hit, big homer?
Oh. Yeah, so I got the Phillies winning it tonight in 6, and I have got the Houston Astros. I think we get a rematch. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is going to be the first rematch in the World Series since the 77-78 Yankees-Dodgers. Is that really possible?
I mean, you just went back so much further than I have knowledge to. I don't remember it happening. No, I don't.
I don't think we've had a rematch.
The Yankees went 3 years in a row. Did they play 3 different teams? I think they did.
Yeah, they did. They played San Diego in 98, the Braves in 99, and the Mets in 2000.
And then the
Diamondbacks in 2001.
I'm trying to think of anybody that's gone back-to-back World Series. I mean,
the Phillies in 08-09, they played the Rays and they played the Yankees.
Yep.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen very much. The Dodgers played 2 different teams. They played the Astros and then the Red Sox.
Here we go. I would love to see it.
The Astros played the Braves and then last year the Phillies.
The Royals played the Giants and who'd they beat?
Mets.
They beat the Mets. That's right. Thor.
Right. The Braves, all those years, they played the Twins in 91, the Blue Jays in 92. They didn't make it in 93. There was no 94. The Indians in 95. Yankees in 96. I think we're good. I think we're the clear, 77-78. If there was just a machine that could help tell us the answer to that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Anyway.
Spent 5 minutes talking about it.
I can't wait because the Ranger fans, you guys should actually vote me a playoff share. I've done so much to empower you.
Yeah, you have.
I really have. But I'm excited because I get what I want, which is a Game 7, and I love those. There's nothing better than a baseball Game 7. NBA Game 7, you play the same guys. Baseball Game 7, you change the most vital person every few outs. It's great. Enjoy today's baseball. Double dip, first game on TBS, then on Fox. I cannot wait. For our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, and the uber-talented Trevor Plouffe, I am Chris Rose. We will see you Tuesday on Baseball Today.